Well, this is Sky News. In just a moment, the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. First, though, a reminder of our top stories this evening. President Trump has unveiled a peace plan for Gaza, which he claims will create eternal peace in the Middle East. Israel has welcomed the plan, as has the Palestinian Authority. The militant group, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, has condemned the proposals. There's been no word yet from Hamas on whether or not it will accept the plans. The Chancellor has hinted at tax rises in her forthcoming budget, as the Prime Minister's Chief Secretary suggested nothing was being ruled out. And a suspect in the Madeleine McCann case, Christian B, has spoken exclusively to Sky News, refusing to answer when we ask if he killed her. Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the PR consultant Alex Deane and the journalist and author Christina Patterson. Welcome and lovely to see both of you. So as ever, let us check out those front pages. And The Guardian, to start with, leads with the peace plan for Gaza announced by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, highlighting the Israeli Prime Minister's ultimatum to Hamas to accept it or face the consequences. The Times also leads with warnings to Hamas and gives additional attention to Sir Tony Blair's role on the board of peace. The Metro declares things can only get bitter as the Prime Minister and the Chancellor warn of possible political and economic turmoil ahead, and questions remain over Sir Keir Starmer's future as Labour leader. The Financial Times looks at Rachel Reeves's tax plans, with the government refusing to rule out increases in November's budget, which would break an election manifesto promise. The Eye also looks at possible tax hikes signalled by Rachel Reeves in her speech. And the front page of The Express, sticking to a similar theme, the headline, "It's the same old tax rise pain with Labour." Daily Mail has an exclusive saying the Chancellor is set to target medical insurance in November's budget by charging VAT on private healthcare. Daily Mirror also has an exclusive ahead of Keir Starmer's conference speech, saying the Prime Minister will announce access to online hospitals in a bid to slash NHS waiting times. Meanwhile, The Star has a direct message it believes Keir Starmer wants to send to Nigel Farage ahead of the Prime Minister's conference speech tomorrow, where he will set out a fork in the road between Labour and Reform. So let us bring in Alex and Christina then. And, this evening's breaking news is where we will start, which is Benjamin Netanyahu stood alongside Donald Trump, outlining this 20-point plan, which could bring peace to the Middle East. There are many difficulties with this. Christina, your thoughts, first of all.
Well, I have to say, obviously, the last 2 years have been a tragedy, and we've all watched this absolute horror unfolding on our TV screens, and any attempts at a peace deal have to be lauded. I have to say, one wouldn't choose for any of the people involved to be involved. I mean, the suggestion is that Donald Trump chairs a peace group that oversees this whole thing if Hamas agrees to this 20-point agreement, that Tony Blair is involved in it. There was talk that he would actually chair it himself. That's clearly not going to happen, and his reputation is as mud amongst Palestinians because of the Iraq war. However, the fact that I suspect Tony Blair has played a very key part in this, because when I read through the agreement on the way here, to me it just had his stamp all over it. I suspect he wrote it. I suspect he came up with many of the ideas in it. Given what a terrible state the whole thing is, it seems to me almost as sensible as one could get it. Of course, one wouldn't choose to have Tony Blair involved, given his reputation. One wouldn't choose to have Trump involved, who is responsible for so much harm in the world. One wouldn't choose to go near Netanyahu, who, in my view, is an absolute monster. However, anything that will end this war gets my support pretty much. And the fact that they have persuaded the Arab states to support it is, for me, the key point. And if they have support from the Arab states, and the Arab states saying they are not going to host Hamas, tolerate Hamas, support Hamas, that could shift things. So I am, for once, cautiously optimistic. I think it's absolutely not guaranteed, but I think there's a possibility it could work.
Yes, and that was a crucial meeting at the UN last week, was it not? Meeting those Arab majority nations, or Muslim majority nations, apologies. Lots of reaction coming in, if you don't mind. First of all, I know you're trying to get in. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has responded. The new US initiative to deliver an end to the war in Gaza is profoundly welcome, and I'm grateful for President Trump's leadership. We strongly support his efforts to end the fighting, release the hostages and ensure the provision of urgent humanitarian assistance for the people of Gaza. It's long, but I'm going to continue. Palestinian Authority has come in, or the State of Palestine, now after what happened with the UK last week, welcomes Trump's efforts to end the war, reiterates its commitment to work with the US and partners, which eventually would pave the way, they say, for a two-state solution. But the Palestinian Islamic Jihad movement, which has been fighting, as we know, also in Gaza, the plan is an expression of Israel's entire position and a recipe for continued aggression against the Palestinian people. Israel is trying to impose through the US what it has been unable to achieve in war, effectively saying at the end of their statement, this is a recipe for regional detonation. So is that what we are expecting to hear from Hamas, which would have to, disarm, disappear effectively? It's a do or die. The threat is we will finish the job if you don't agree to Hamas, from Netanyahu.
Yes, I think what we'll get from Hamas is the refusal to accede to the agreement that everyone else seems to wish to proceed with. That there is form on this. We've been closer than this before to peace at Camp David. It looks like under Ehud Barak and Bill Clinton, the West was aligned on an agreement, and Yasser Arafat said yes before he said no to the Camp David Accords. So we haven't got that far yet. Hamas haven't said yes and then reverse ferreted. So we've been closer, and not only did it fall apart, but it broke the career of Ehud Barak into the bargain. And Hamas preferred to begin the second intifada than having that peace deal. Here, your quotes are interesting because it's anticipated one of the points I was going to make. I could well see the Palestinian Authority and Hamas going in different directions. Now I think it's almost guaranteed.
Yeah, well, The Guardian is picking up on that warning, accept Gaza peace deal or face the consequences, suggestions that there's another push into Gaza City. We've got live pictures, actually, from south of Gaza City, where it is calmer, but we know the effort is on Gaza City. Reports that it's under attack right now, that artillery is targeting parts of Gaza City. We know there's been a mass exodus of people there. This war, what do the people of Gaza want? Well, that is the point.
Well, I mean, what the people of Gaza want has never been relevant to any of this because Hamas have never asked them, and if you don't support Hamas, then you get murdered and tortured. So their will is irrelevant to Hamas. The thing I'm not sure I agree with you, Alex, and we can't know, is that it is a kind of do or die situation for Hamas, because if they don't agree, they will get obliterated anyway, as will tens of thousands more Palestinians, more Gazans probably, because Netanyahu will go in and raze the whole of Gaza City and blow the whole thing up, and this abomination will continue until every tunnel has been destroyed and every Hamas soldier has been murdered or disarmed. So I don't think Hamas has great options now. And of course it will be, I imagine it's pretty much hated. It's very hard to know because Israel won't let journalists into Gaza. And so many Gazan journalists have been massacred by Israel. It's very hard to know what people are actually thinking, and they wouldn't dare to speak freely even if they could. But I mean, I can't imagine there'd be any support for Hamas if they said, you know what, no, I think we'll turn this down and just let tens of thousands more people die.
You may be right. They may nod along at this point, say we're going, and then find a pretext later to say this hasn't worked out, the Israelis have betrayed us. But my instinct is, so Bill Clinton was asked, before this announcement had been made, obviously, why do you think it hasn't worked in the past? past. And Clinton's answer was that Hamas actually didn't care about a homeland for the Palestinian people. They preferred to kill Israelis. Not my words, his, right? And I think that's probably right. And if it is right, I could still see Hamas saying, we're going to hold out. We've got allies in Islamic Jihad and elsewhere. Yes, it's going to be harder, but we're the people who are going to stand up against this. And you can rally to us because we're the people that oppose Trump and oppose Israel and so forth. That's their playbook hitherto, after all.
Yeah. Well, Hamas, as you know, has so far rejected disarmament, saying it has a right to resist until Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands ends. That's their point.
Well, just to make one point about this statement, we're saying this seriously, the statement from Islamic Jihad that you read to us, the reason that they're wrong to say this is everything Israel wanted, there's a big chunk of the Knesset who want to occupy Gaza completely.
Definitely not what Israel wants. Netanyahu doesn't want this. He's been strong-armed into this because the only way he can survive is with Trump's support, which he's had so far, but Trump has now put some boundaries
for
around
example,
that.
the UN would be involved in the distribution of aid, which we know Israel has been unhappy about.
I mean, Netanyahu doesn't want this. I mean, let's be clear. I'm absolutely sure he doesn't want this.
And his coalition partners certainly don't. But the most important thing that people should understand about this agreement is no annexation and no occupation. Right? That is profoundly different to much of the debate in the Israeli...
But it's not clear when Israel would fully withdraw. He said it would be slow. So
the plan has been announced that the line of control at the moment is very tightly drawn. The moment hostages are released, alive and dead,
there is a move backwards.
There's a move significantly backwards, and the debate is about when that move to the next stage then happens.
Well, the statement from Sir Keir Starmer called on Hamas to agree to the plan and end the misery.
Yeah, because
I think that's the point, isn't it?
Well, as we know, Hamas are listening very closely to Keir Starmer and agree with every word he says, so I can't imagine that's going to
what difference it makes, I don't know, but we will now see European and other countries in concert coming out one after another to say they agree with the deal.
Yeah, indeed. So the French president has already done that, for example. We will keep an eye on that, obviously awaiting a fuller response from Hamas, whether they do it directly or via Qatar, for example, we'll wait to see. But lots to come, including all the politics and what's happening in Liverpool. The Prime Minister preparing for his big speech at Labour's party conference as the papers digest what happened today. Back in a moment.
I'm Deborah Haynes, Sky Security and Defence Editor. The reality of life under Russian fire. People don't want to leave, even though help is here to evacuate them. They say they want to sort out their belongings first. It's absolute chaos. Fire, shouts the commander. There's a dash to safety, as Russian drones will be trying to find this position.
We've now got to wait inside the shelter to see if there is incoming.
I've been covering Russia's full-scale war since it began, witnessing the terror and the trauma.
When rockets fall, I try to hide my head under my toys.
Illustrating Ukraine's lost childhood, hopes and dreams framed by war. Conflict in the Middle East is another major focus.
An incredibly dangerous moment.
We saw the missiles streaking across the sky. We saw the intercept going up, and then we saw the explosions when the intercepts were successful.
With global threats rising, I also explored defence and security in the UK and across NATO. This US aircraft carrier is operating in European waters in a deliberate show of force. This is routine training for NATO, but should Russia's war with Ukraine escalate significantly, pilots like these could be called upon to go into combat for real. Tucked away in the National Archives are some of the UK's old defence plans.
The scale of this bunker underlines how seriously governments took the threat of nuclear attack and global conflict. Should allies listen to Vladimir Putin's sabre-rattling?
No, they shouldn't, and they don't.
Sky News, the full story first.
Mr. Trump, James Matthews from Sky News.
Hey, James.
Did you stay at the apartment in Manhattan of Jeffrey Epstein?
I'm not answering any questions.
Are you an appeaser for Putin?
I think that
I really don't care what David Cameron has to say.
Mr. Patel, did you endanger public safety when you said the killer was in custody? Does your past behaviour make you unfit to serve? I'm James Matthews, and I'm Sky's US correspondent, based here in Washington, D.C.
I want to start the programme today with a name, a story that I can't get out of my head. The campaign has now started. This is your chance. Tell people this is the Politics Hub. It's not correct. The tax burden is projected to go up.
No,
but I'm not. This is my interview. Look, this is ridiculous.
No one does care about us.
I'm really interested in that. On the Politics Hub, we like to push the boundaries. He's got the majority. The question is, what is he going to do with it?
I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories.
This is insane.
I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
We call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News, get the full story first.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview with me once again, Alex Deane and Christina Patterson. Welcome back to both of you. So it is the leader's speech on Tuesday, but many of the papers have reflected the words of not only the Chancellor, but also the Chief Secretary to Downing Street, Darren Jones, who was speaking to Sophie Ridge on Sky News. So the two things that were said, first of all, the Chancellor, global headwinds, heard that before, what's she alluding to? And then Darren Jones, who said the manifesto stands today, and wouldn't say whether it stood come November the 26th and the day of the budget. So what are they telling us?
Well, of course they're going to have to put taxes up. Everybody has known that for a long time.
But are they going to put one of the three protected taxes up?
I think so, probably. I think they're going to have to. It's going to have to be either income tax or VAT, and then, you know, who knows if there'll be a property tax or I mean, there are various things that are being talked about, but they can't. I mean, the unfortunate thing about having it on the 26th of November does mean that every single day from now until the 26th of November, people are going to say, are you going to put up X tax? And they're going to say, you know what, we're not going to tell you just yet. So that does kind of freeze everyone, and it freezes people economically.
Freezes the housing market,
it freezes the housing market, it freezes people in making all kinds of decisions. So that's not good. On the other hand, I understand why the kind of let's hope something turns up thing, you know, that sort of theory. I have to say that I watched Rachel Reeves' speech today, and I'm afraid I'm not a fan of her delivery, or indeed of quite a lot of her policies, but I thought it was a very, very spirited speech, and she'd obviously been doing a lot of work on her presentation because it was much punchier than it used to be. There was real passion, and I thought she was kind of owning her decisions, and I felt slightly more optimistic. Obviously, we have to balance that with the fact that the polls are absolutely terrible, and poor old Keir Starmer is now the most unpopular Prime Minister ever, according to certain polls, so that's not great. But I sort of feel like there is a bit of energy there now, and we'll just have to see how they do.
And energy towards, you know, what we get clobbered with come November is the problem, is it? The Metro, things can only get bitter, tax rise fears and looming fight for the nation's soul, and the Times as well, have faith, urges Reeves amid fears of tax rises. I see in the FT they're reporting that she talked about the need for fiscal discipline. This was after Andy Burnham, who would be king, obviously, talked about not being in hock to the bond markets, which is all about the fiscal rules that she is choosing to stick by. Very.
Look, Burnham's going to burn them, right? And Rachel Reeves had a pop indirectly at the Mayor of Manchester, which is when you know that that things are real, because you would not normally reveal red-on-red conflicts. Burnham had made his covert manoeuvres overt in talking about the things that the Labour Party were getting wrong, and Rachel Reeves delivered a bit of a pushback. But moreover, this is the one positive thing for the current Labour leadership. They flushed out the Burnham challenge, made him sort of become semi-public, and then he's had to wind it back. So actually that's the one positive thing to come from conference season for them, I think, in the main so far. I do want to say something about this Darren Jones business. You can make a technical argument that because nobody can reveal what's in a budget, nobody can speculate about what's going to be in it. I'm not going to say that. But it came across terribly to say the manifesto stands today. I'm not ruling anything in or out, but the manifesto stands today, which, well, may it going to change tomorrow then, mate?
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
The reason that they do it is that, and this, the Tory party did this in spades. I'm not casting stones from my glass house. If you send out ministers to defend a line and then you take that line back, they become very reluctant to do the media round in the future and going, people go out and say that these attacks on Angela Rayner are sexist and classist. And they did, and then he sacked her. Yeah. So the next time you get the call that says, go out and say that the manifesto stands, you're going to say the manifesto stands today.
But he's been put in that role specifically for that job, so he's going to...
Exactly. He is broadly good at it.
Yeah.
He's had a bad day at the office.
I want to get on to Sir Keir Starmer, what we're expecting. The Daily Star says it's a fork in the road, so very helpfully. But Britain is facing a defining choice. This is in the front page of The Guardian, between decency and division. Yeah. So that's his positioning, yes?
Well, I think he is also gathering some energy and passion, good old wooden robotic Starmer, because he is absolutely right about the threat from Farage, and all the polls at the moment are showing, a pretty clear win for Farage. So I think this is
Christina,
giving...
I'm going to cut you off. I do apologise. Run out of time, both of you. Alex, Christina, thank you both. See you for more very shortly.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.
It's not his country, it's ours.
Sky News, the full story first, free wherever you get your news. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in.